to hit on here with Howard. If you missed his podcast this past weekend, make sure you go back and check it out. Without further ado, we bring our boy in and our really good friend. We bring Howard Eskin in with him. How you doing, Howard?
Never had a bad day in my life, although I can't say there haven't been some bad moments. Hey, let me tell you something. I wish I'd have known you were going to show that, because I have a bat.
No way.
From Dick Allen, and he signed it. And I'm pretty sure he signed it Richie. And that's the way I knew him when I first grew up, because he was Richie Allen. And he signed it Richie Allen. And, you know, he swung the heaviest bat in baseball. What they used to do in baseball, at the bottom of the nub, on the bottom of the bat, in pencil, they used to write the ounces of the bat. Manny Sanguillen of the Pirates, for people that don't know, had a 38-ounce bat. Dick Allen, or Richie Allen, when he started, Dick Allen had a 41-ounce bat. Now, players realize the lighter the bat, and bat speed is important for hitting the baseball. And now they press the bat so hard, and it's just, you don't worry about the bat being heavy. Now, the average is probably 33, 34 ounces. 41 is a lot heavier to swing that bat. I have his bat, and I when I heard you say that, I looked around and I couldn't find it, but I have it here. I have.
That's bigger than Ruth's baseball bat. That 41-ouncer is bigger than Ruth swung. I mean, that's incredible that he swung that big a bat. And by the way, folks don't know, Manny Sanguillen was Clementi's best friend, and when Clementi's plane went down, the guy who went and looked for him was Manny. They never found his body, and he went and looked for him when the plane went down. So. Boy, I got to tell you, is it sour grapes, though, for the folks in Philly that Dick Allen goes into the Hall of Fame? You know, he's passed away. He doesn't really know. I mean, do you think it's sour grapes a little bit? Because he should have been in years ago.
Well, I'm going to give you a little backstory here. And I think it's been denied. But from what I understand from the people that knew, he needed one of those votes with the Veterans Committee. This committee that voted him now, they have another committee. I forget what it's called, the Golden Age Committee or whatever it is. But the Veterans Committee, Dave Dombrowski, currently the Phillies general manager, worked for Reinsdorf. And Reinsdorf had a problem with Dick Allen when he played with the White Sox, just didn't like his personality. Dave Dombrowski voted against Richie Allen, Dick Allen, getting into the Hall of Fame at the Veterans Committee on one of the votes.
And he missed it by like 1 or 2 votes, didn't he?
One.
Oh, my God.
And he would have been alive.
Oh, my God. And of course, nobody in Philly's bringing that up right now. That Dombrowski's vote was the one that potentially kept him out of the Hall of Fame when he was alive.
Yes. Yes. Now, Dave Dombrowski's a good guy, and I don't mean to bury him, but that's just an egregious mistake. And just because, I mean, he was tight with Reinsdorf, obviously working for the White Sox, but it was disgraceful that he didn't get voted in before he passed away with at least the Veterans Committee. First of all, second of all, third of all. I'm getting like Charles Barkley. To have Dave Parker wait over 20 years, you just mentioned Dave Parker. His numbers are mind-boggling. I started to check his numbers against Bryce Harper, who wants to be in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, he does. You know, trying to, whatever, to set himself up for that. You know, numbers dictate that. Do you know Dave Parker had 5 years he batted over 300. Bryce Harper has 2 so far. Dave Parker won, 2 or 3 batting titles?
Okay. No, three batting titles, 2 MVPs.
Yeah, well, an MVP in the All-Star game and an MVP in the regular season. It's just, and he won 3 Gold Gloves.
Yeah.
He had a great arm. He was a great right fielder. His numbers just blow Bryce Harper's numbers away. But the point I'm trying to make is, why did it take over 20 years? At least he was alive when he knew he got in. but he passed away before.
Howard, was it that story about? Wasn't it him and Hernandez that that was an issue with drugs back in the day, and there was stories that they put out there about him? Because I know Hernandez had an issue with it when he was with the Cardinals, and then I'm not sure with the Mets, but
yeah, the uppers. That was the era of uppers and downers.
Okay.
Kinda, yeah. So downers, they would take uppers. They kind of juice you up, and you fire it up by drinking a cup of coffee before the game after you take them. Right. I've never seen it, so I can't tell you. But there were some stories, but that's still not fair.
Totally.
When it's still not fair. Big Poppy got in, and everybody really believes that he did steroids, but he wasn't in any of those reports that we know about that became public. So, any great guy. Both of them are great guy. I mean, I didn't know Dave Parker well, but whenever he came to Philadelphia, he was always so nice to people. He was just a good guy, and veterans are more like that than today's players. But the fact that it took him over 20 years with those numbers are staggering. And Mike Schmidt said, and he said this numerous times, and he and Mike got along really well. That's how I got to know. And I always call him Richie because I grew up knowing him Richie. Dick Allen, I knew him. He knew me, and
did he have a good relationship with the Philly fans?
He was so quiet because Miss Schmidt was really tight with him that I think it helped. And people applauded him when he came back in 75, got a hit in his first at bat when he came back to the Phillies, which was, I was there. You had goosebumps when you saw him come back, and oh my gosh,
man, I loved him, man. I did.
It was so great. But Mike Schmidt said for 5 years, he was the best player in baseball.
Yep.
Better than Willie Mays, better than Hank Aaron,
Reggie.
He was unbelievable. But Willie Mays and Hank Aaron are at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Willie Mays might be the greatest player. I guess you could say Babe Ruth because of his numbers, and he pitched, and he was an everyday player. But excluding Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, I think, was the greatest player that ever played the game. And it's just that he obviously watched him and saw him when he was growing up. He saw Dick Allen. It's mind-boggling. I remember Connie Mack Stadium, which was the old stadium, and I went there. Obviously, I wasn't covering the team back then, but my dad, I saw him hit a home run. Connie Mack Stadium had a roof that went from the left field foul line to center field. He hit it over the roof.
Where was that stadium? Where was that stadium?
21st and Lehigh was the address. 21st and Lehigh.
Okay.
So 21st and Lehigh is in North Philadelphia. And it's just so, it was great. I have seats from Connie Mack. I have a turnstile from Connie Mack. It's just, I can't get away from it because when I first started watching baseball as a little kid, I went to Connie Mack Stadium. Loved Sandy Koufax and watched him pitch there. It's just so many memories, but Dick Allen was a memory that you'll never forget. One of the greatest baseball players, and it's a travesty that it took him so long to get in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
The Phillies, it took forever. I have a picture, and I'm going to see if you guys can see it. That's Dick Allen. Dick Allen, when he finally got his number retired, he came to the ceremony at Citizens Bank Park, finally got his number retired, and that was at the ceremony where he got his number retired.
That's dope. 15, man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. When I saw him in Chicago at Old Comiskey, and I never saw him. Wait, I did see him when he was at the Phillies, and he came to Shea. And that big old bat he used to swing, man. Everyone, it was so imposing. He was such an imposing player. And I remember how I met him. So Francona used to come on my show all the time when I was doing my Tampa show, because you guys have that facility there in Clearwater. And so he goes, come over. So, Howard, I'm not supposed to be, as a media guy, you're not supposed to have a Google anything, right? So he goes like this, Sileo, there's Dick Allen. And I go like this. Yes, that sure is Dick Allen. And he came over, shook my hand, and I go, dude, I have an old jersey at home with Wampum when you were with the A's, and it had Wampum on the back because
Yes.
what's his name did something weird with, I think it was Charlie Finley, did something weird wherever you were from. You got a chance to put where you're from on it. And so I said, I got to have that jersey. And so I bought a jersey and I had him sign it, but it was an Oakland A's jersey with him having wampum on the back.
Yeah, I remember the jersey. I remember it. It's just Wampum, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
For those people, I couldn't tell you where Wampum is, other than it's in Pennsylvania. But that's where he came from. He just quiet guy, and I've talked to him a few times, but he was different. But that doesn't mean he wasn't a great ball player.
Absolutely. Howard, let me get to some Eagle stuff here. Let me ask you this. Well, Kevin Patullo, okay, if he is the right guy for Jalen, how come the team passed him up twice to be the offensive coordinator? Once for Brian Johnson, and then once for outside the organization, they went with Kellen Moore. If he's so ready for that job, then
maybe he wasn't.
Why did they pass him over twice?
Well, he worked with Nick Sirianni before that. So, and he's still with Nick Sirianni. Why did they pass him up? It wasn't Kellen Moore. He was an offensive coordinator somewhere. It wasn't with the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, the Chargers.
Dallas, and then the Chargers.
Okay.
And he got fired actually in his last two jobs, and the Eagles hired him. Now, fired may not be fair because Jim just wanted to have his own people in Los Angeles. So, but again, they went outside the organization. Why am I to believe now that this is the right time for him to be the coordinator of that team?
Well, I think Brian Johnson's probably an unfair because didn't Brian Johnson, I'm trying to remember history, know Jalen Hurts in high school?
Yeah, Houston.
Yeah, okay. So in high school, so they tried to make Jalen Hurts comfortable with who was there. And the player shouldn't dictate who the coach is. It shouldn't dictate who the manager is, shouldn't dictate who the coach is. But I think the Eagles early kind of fell into that trap because Jalen Hurts was comfortable with him, and they thought that would help him develop in the NFL. As it turns out, where's Brian Johnson now? Is he with not the Redskins?
Yeah, he is
Commanders.
He is. Well, I believe the Redskins' name is coming back, but okay, Commanders. He's a quarterback coach there with Cliff Kingsbury there in Washington with Jaden Daniels.
Right. So, so those kind of things. I think Kevin Patullo is a really sharp guy. I've talked to him many times over the years. I think he's a really sharp guy. Nick Sirianni trusts him. He's seen because he was on the sidelines for these games. And I'm sure I know he's talked to Nick Sirianni during the games, so he had a comfort level with him. I don't think it's necessarily fair to say, well, he was passed over for this guy. Well, the guy was already Kellen Moore was already an offensive coordinator. Brian Johnson had a history with Jalen Hurts going back to high school, and they thought that would help him. And they tried to do so many things to try to help the comfort of Jalen Hurts in his development as a quarterback. I think Kevin Patullo. Now, again, players have to make plays. The offensive line stays intact and stays healthy. Health is the most important thing. Yeah. And the Eagles had health last year where Detroit didn't. And I think the Eagles were better than Detroit, but you don't know how good that game could have been if Detroit had stayed healthy. So you have a great offensive line. You have great wide receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And you have a terrific running back, which I had Jason Avant on last week, a former wide receiver for the Eagles. And now he's still around Philadelphia, and he works in and around with the Eagles. He doesn't think that Saquon Barkley was as big an effect on Jalen Hurts as I do. If you can run the ball the way the Eagles ran the ball, then you put the ball up in the air less times.
Yeah.
And by putting the ball up in the air less times, you eliminate more chances for turnovers.
You're right.
And the Eagles had a great plus minus in turnovers. Unbelievable. I don't think they had a turnover in the playoffs.
No.
In all the playoff games. Not one. That's amazing. And that's going to win you games. If you're +2, you win 55, 60% of the time. It's hard to win when you're -2 turnovers in a football game.
And you're playing football, Howard. You're playing football with the fact that you're doing high or less percentage turnover plays. Passing game is higher percentage of turnovers versus run game.
Yep.
Of course he had an impact on his play.
You know what's amazing? I don't know what's going to happen in Cleveland, but I know from talking to people, Joe Flacco has a great arm. But Joe Flacco, and I like Joe. Joe's from the area, and I know Joe. And who knows, he might be the starter at the beginning of the season. But he's prone to turnovers.
Yes.
And Cleveland, I think Cleveland led the AFC in turnovers. If they didn't lead it, they were one of the top 2 or 3. And that is what has to change. And I'm just trying to make the point. I care about Cleveland because I like Kevin Stefanski and I think he's a good coach. But the point I'm trying to make is turnovers in the passing game, as you mentioned, really happen more in the passing game than they do when you run the football. And when the Patriots were cheating under Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and deflating footballs, do you know a running back did not have a fumble that season?
Yes.
Now, the football is deflated less. It's easier to hold the football.
Now, Howard, they got a rule, though. You're not allowed to put the football out from the 3-yard line in. And there was always a rule in New England where a lot of players, what they'll do is they'll reach for the goal line. Belichick had a rule. You had to have 2 hands on the football, 3 yards in, because he always believed in protecting the football. However, you're not buying anything when it comes to the fact when Bill went like this, hey, ask the quarterback. I don't know. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
He knew how many pencils were in the coach's office. He had the exact count of the number of pencils. Give me a break. He's such a he's not even in my top 6 all-time coaches. But
you're kidding me. Come on.
No. I mean, Andy Reid's number 1.
Oh my God. Wait a minute. Angelo, did you hear that?
Andy Reid's number 1. I mean, he develops guys. Andy Reid has a stable of coaches that have had success in the NFL. Tell me one assistant coach that Bill Belichick had in the NFL that was a success.
Same with Jimmy. None of them.
Well, I didn't know that about Jimmy, but tell me how many. Everybody says Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel wasn't a coach; he was a player under Belichick.
That's right.
Yeah, he was a player. So, and Josh McDaniels was a fraud as a head coach.
He was.
A coordinator, I'm not even sure, but as a fraud as a head coach. So he developed no one. Andy Reid developed coaches. He developed quarterbacks. It's like John Gruden. John Gruden had a way with quarterbacks, and he worked with Andy Reid. Now he worked in Green Bay, but he worked with Andy Reid in Philadelphia.
Yep.
So he's developed a lot of guys. He's a great coach. The players play for him. He knows what he's doing. He's great offensively. He's number 1. And, I don't know that you can't put Tom Landry or Bill Walsh or
how about Chuck Noll?
I was just going to say, and Chuck Noll. All those coaches are ahead of Belichick. All of them. Hey, listen, when you cheat, you got to be – they don't put guys in the Hall of Fame who did steroids, right? They know knowing they did steroids. Yep. So Bill Belichick can't be the best coach because he cheated.
So
and knowingly cheated.
You hold that against Brady too, then?
Yeah, Brady's a great quarterback, but he's not the best all time.
Would you take Montana over him?
100%, not even close. 100%. Joe Montana.
I'm biased too. I played against Joe, so I'm biased.
Okay, I don't think he had an interception in the Super Bowl.
Never
lost a Super Bowl.
Never.
Yeah. Brady, actually, 2 of their wins were really losses if Shanahan hadn't gone brain dead and had Matt Ryan try to pass when he's on the 21-yard line. What are you doing? You kick a field goal, you're up 11, the game's over. Okay, so he screwed that up. And Pete Carroll, let who was the offensive coordinator? Let him stick with that play of passing.
Oh my God, he threw the pick on the 1 yard line.
But
Malcolm
Butler,
Butler.
yeah.
Malcolm Butler
I
gets
don't know who the offensive coordinator was with calling the plays, but Pete Carroll's responsible. And with Marshawn Lynch, and you had a timeout. He says, "Oh, we were on the whatever he said, whatever Pete Carroll said. They had a timeout. So if it didn't work with Marshawn Lynch running the ball, then you could have called a timeout, and you still had another play. And Russell Wilson in the red zone was mediocre. He is one of the more overrated quarterbacks in the NFL. His defense gave him great field position, and in the red zone, usually the team was in the 20s as far as scoring in the red zone. Listen, that was a stupid play. So New England won 2 games they should have lost.
Let me go here with you. What is a Howard Eskin topic right now of concern for you with the team after the first week of training camp? Now, I don't know if you can make anything out of it, but going into training camp, let's phrase it this way. What would be the number one concern with you on why this team won't repeat? And I'll ask you the other way, why will they repeat if they can? Why won't they repeat?
Well, it has nothing to do with the first week of camp. Cam Jurgens made a great point today. All these morons and nitwits and dopes that run out stats, that tweet out stats or tweet it out.
I wonder who you're talking about.
It's just Captain Clickbait. But whatever it is, Cam Jurgens said, we didn't have pads on. All these stats you see on Twitter are meaningless. It's 7-on-7s, no pads. It's a complete joke. It's a joke. And the quarterback, even in camp, knows that he can't get hit. So there's no sacks. But 7-on-7.
Wait a minute, Howard. He had a C- today. He had a C- in a pick today. Did Jalen? We got to be fair.
Yeah, well, they had pads on today. So Cam Jurgens, of all guys, the fact that he stepped up and called all that nonsense out was great today. It was great. But what is my concern? I don't think it has anything to do with the first week of camp. I think it's injuries are your concern.
Okay.
You played a lot of games last year. There were they probably have depth on the offensive and defensive line, but they don't have depth as much in other areas. You always worry about the running back after all those carries the following year, but seems like Saquon Barkley's in great shape. It's just something. And now it's not the way it used to be. I remember when DeMarco Murray came to the Eagles after having all those carries with the Cowboys, and he was a stiff with the Eagles because he had too many carries. But the game's different. You practice less. Players get off during the week. So I would say I'm not worried about the depth in the secondary. I'm not worried about because they have 2 really, really good young players in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Really good young players. Zach Baughn's got to have another. He doesn't have to have the year he had last year, but he has to have a good year because he's
got to be close, though, right? Don't you think it's got to be close?
Yeah, he got to elevate to close to that. But I think Jordan Davis will be better and play more plays. I love when he said he lost weight. Yeah, I lost 20. I think he said 26 pounds. 26. I lost 26 pounds. I'm now 330. My gosh, he was 356. He lost 26 pounds to get to 330. Yeah, but he's in better shape.
Here's the problem, though, Howard. Here's the problem I have with that. You're a professional football player. It took you 4 years to realize you had to be in shape. Come on here, guy. This is pro football here, man.
He said he's getting older. He's 25. 25 is the prime of your career.
I know he's 25, but it took him 4 years to figure it out.
I think Jordan Davis really put himself out to have a good offseason and to lose some weight, and I give him credit for that. But he's basically on a contract here.
Oh, yes.
You think that helps a little bit?
Oh, yes. Oh, you're going to you have your agent and your girlfriend or whomever telling you, you know what they did? I think the Eagles gave him a love tap on the shoulder and said, we like you a lot. We're going to pick your 5th year up. You're not getting the extension until you show me that you're going to be that player. But I think they're telling him they want him here, and he's got to show
absolutely.
us.
Yeah, he with Jalen Carter, two studs on that defensive line, and I think Nolan Carroll. I always call him Nolan Carroll. Nolan Smith is going to step up this year. He's an edge rusher, listed as linebacker, whatever he's listed at. He's going to be a pass rusher, and I think he's going to be really good. Great personality, but has a really good work ethic. So injuries would be my answer to what my concern is. And you come off a Super Bowl, only 17 teams that have come off a Super Bowl have gotten back the next year. Now, a lot of those teams were losing teams, and they never get back. The Eagles were a winning team. So that the stats there, but and all this, I love the way the Eagles, and they're programmed by Nick Sirianni. It's a good message. You're not defending champs. Well, they are defending champs. You can say you're not defending champs all you want. You're defending champs.
Why are they afraid to say that?
Well, because they don't want them to live off of the success they had the previous year, and don't get caught up in we're good enough. And they had an off season where they had the young guys had a lot of attention,
Yep.
And they probably didn't have to pay for a meal. They didn't have to pay for any, and that's okay. But it's different for a lot of those players. So you didn't accomplish anything this year. Last year is last year. Don't look back, look forward. But this. And Nick Sirianni said today, it's like a boxer, or it's not like a boxer.
Right.
It is like the boxer is a defending champ. Well, a boxer starts out, round one.
As the champ.
The Eagles start out round one, the opening game against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And I heard Jerry Jones say something, I guess it was today or yesterday at camp. It's going to be different in 2025. No, it's not. No, it's not. You have Dak Prescott, who you're never going to win a Super Bowl. Never. That's Never, by the way, for those Cowboys fans that can't spell. Never going to win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. Never. He builds up numbers when he's behind. And you're right about Micah Parsons. Once he gets that money, he's history. The Eagles, he never has good games against the Eagles.
Ever.
Never.
That guy's a Velcro pad to Lane Johnson. I mean, every time I see him, he's stuck to him like that. And
yep.
I mean, he really does. Howard, let me ask you this last one here. Would you make of Bryce Harper? What'd you make of him going after the commissioner and telling him to F off over a salary cap? Because he knows the commissioner knows that the current pay structure in baseball is not going to work with big market, small market. What'd you make of him going after him like that?
It was wrong. I mean, it's a simple one-word answer. It was wrong. You got to have respect, whether you like the commissioner or not. And I don't like all the things he put in place.
You think he's overrated, Harper?
He's not as good now as he was a few years ago.
Correct.
Okay. So he's not as good now as he was a few years ago. He won't have 400 home runs by the end of next year. He's got 351 now, or maybe 352, somewhere in there. So he won't have 400 home runs by next year.
He'll never hit 500.
No, I don't think so. Because he swings hard. He swings for home runs, but he gets hurt that way with his wrist. And he's got 6 years after this year. Is he overrated? I don't think he should hit 3 in the lineup, because I don't think – 3-hitter is an RBI guy. He's an RBI guy, and he's a home run guy.
You think he should hit 5th?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I think somebody else has got a pot. Now, I don't know who should go in there, but he's not a classic 3. I wouldn't have a problem with Schwarber hitting 3, and then put somebody up. I like Stott, Turner, Stott. Stott would be better because he's good at working a pitcher. Schwarber, and then Bohm's hurt. Bohm makes contact. Again, you don't have to hit. They live on home runs. They scored in the final game against the Yankees. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
They had 3 runs, and it was 3 home runs, 3 solo home runs. You're not going to win. And you're not going to win like that. Is he overrated?
I think Schwarber's out of place. I think they need him lower in the lineup, like you just said. I mean, here's a guy that's going to give you 250 strikeouts, but he's going to give you 46 homers. That to me is a 3-hole or 4-hole guy.
Yeah, it's is to answer your question. I don't know that Bryce Harper is overrated. He's a good player, but he's not as good as he used to be. But it was disrespectful to go after the commissioner. And I'm going to say this because I know he has become a mouthpiece for his agent, Scott Boras. Once Boras knows the commissioner's there, he's probably told other players, listen, you got to, find a way to object to a salary cap because really that hurts the agent. And when all that nonsense came up at the beginning of the year of an extension, when going into the season, they had 7 years left. What are his last 3 or 4 years going to be like? And you want to think that's all Scott Boras. And then Bryce Harper realized it was stupid, and it made him look bad. But I think that is the idea of Scott Boras to have one of his players, and Bryce Harper does what he wants. And Bryce Harper was the mouthpiece for Scott Boras.
That is a great take because I know Scott. I know him a little bit too, and you're right. He's always telling his guys to look out for the next guy, but he's always talking about the next guy under his wing. Nobody else. He's not talking about
I'm telling
somebody else repping at IMG.
As soon as I heard that, I said, that's Scott Boras. That is Scott Boras. But he shouldn't have that disrespect. I mean, he shouldn't have that. It's not his place to object to that. Let the owners deal with it. Let the Players Association deal with it. And it is what it is. These guys have gotten a cakewalk for years. These 13-year contracts, which is his, Trey Turner's 10-year contract, and players are signing 10-year contracts. It's nonsense. It's just, how do you know what the guy's going to do? But because they can push the money down the line, they're not worried about caps or any of that stuff. It just makes it better for all of baseball. Pittsburgh's not a bad team, but they can't keep. How are they going to keep? They got to keep Skeens. I mean, they got to keep that pitcher.
Yeah, it'll be tough though for them because of and it's a great. They've got a great ballpark, and like you and I, Howard, or like me when I was a young kid, I don't ever remember the Pirates being awful and this not been able to hang in there because of the pay structure of baseball.
Yeah, but now they can't compete because of the money. Yeah. I don't know what Seattle's financial situation is, but the catcher is going to have a phenomenal year, and he hasn't been a free agent yet, right?
No, he's not been a free agent. And man, you're talking about a guy who's if you gave Juan Soto $70 million, you got a guy who's going to hit 45 to 50 home runs as a catcher, and they're going to be an all-star catcher.
Wait a minute, 45 to 50 home runs. He's going to have high 50s. He's got 30?
Yeah, 39 or 38 at the break. So you're right. He's probably going to hit mid 50s or a higher 50s.
Yeah.
And he may break the record for catchers for home runs. I can't think of a 50 home run catcher in the history.
No, I can't either. I'll tell you who's going to have 50 home runs if he changes teams.
Who?
Take a guess. You're never going to come up with this answer. I'm putting you on the spot. Kyle Schwarber, if he goes to Cincinnati, which is his hometown, free agent after this year. He's going to get $115, $120 million for 3 years. And the Phillies have 2 big contracts in Harper and Turner, and they're going to have to sign other people.
They're no way going to re-sign him. There's no way.
I'll tell you, it's going to be an outrage, but financially, and especially if they know there's going to be a cap down the line after next year. But forget about you can't worry about a salary cap. But Cincinnati's such a home run hitter's ballpark. Now, Citizens Bank Park is where the Phillies play, but Cincinnati is a tiny ballpark. If he went to Cincinnati, he would hit 50 home runs.
Imagine him in Boston.
Yeah, but it's the well, I guess if you hit it down the line, but it's just Ted Williams had a lot of home runs there. He played wall ball. With the left field the way
absolutely. Hey, Howard, listen, it is. Oh, tell the folks where And when your next podcast is dropping, please.
Wednesday night, Eastern time, 7:30. So it's always live Wednesday at 7:30. And then it obviously lives on the on YouTube, and you subscribe to YouTube and it notifies you when the show comes on. Wednesday at 7:30, Saturdays at 8 in the morning, because that's when I used to be on the radio. And people want to hear me on Saturday mornings. And it's on all the social media platforms, video and audio, and on Apple and Spotify and Amazon Music in an audio fashion. So Wednesday night's my next one at 7:30. I have another guest for you.
Ready? Let me hear it.
No, the guest during this show.
Where'd you get that? What is that?
I had in 2006, I think it was 2005 and 2006. I had these bobbleheads made up, real fur coat, and the necklace is not on there with the real diamond. I had these made up, 2 different style fur coats, 2 different years, and raised about $70,000 to $80,000 for charities, because all the money went to charity. So I had these bobbleheads made up.
I love that thing, man. That is absolutely crazy. I love that. Howard, it's great catching up with you, my friend. I love you coming on the program. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Hey, have a great day.
I love chatting sports with Howard Eskin. You hear that, man? You just sit here and you get a chance to talk sports with our friend here, man. I love that. Make sure you check out his fabulous show. He has great guests. I know he's had Barkley on already. So if he's working on him again, that'll be another great guest. He always has. I mean, there's only one other guy that puts guests on like I do, and that's him. So make sure you check him out. Absolutely awesome day today, folks. I can't thank you guys enough for coming aboard here. Don't forget 2 to 6 tomorrow. Xander and Big Joe, thank you very much. To all of you out there, make sure you hit the like button. Thank you again. Tomorrow, 2 to 6. We'll see you on the flip side.